Last week, there was a uproar about Joe Rogan, and they wanted to deplatform him off Spotify because apparently he was spreading misinformation via a guest he had on Joe Rogan about the health situation.
Yeah.
And Neil Young, the singer, who I can't name any of his songs, thought that he was doing something by being like, if you don't take Joe Rogan off, I'll take my music off. And Spotify was basically like, okay, Neil Young, like.
But apparently that cost him $4 million.
Who? Neil Young?
Neil Young taking his music off apparently costs like Spotify a ton of money or something. They're saying
it's probably, if Joe Rogan is the ocean, Neil Young is a drop of water. Neil Young, if I was the CEO of Spotify and it was a business and I go, Joe Rogan, who boosted my stock by $1 bajillion when we
just paid him $100 million.
Yeah, or versus Neil Young, who is, if it was like Lil Nas X or Ariana Grande that was doing it, maybe it would be more of a discussion. Neil Young, go Neil Young.
That's basically what they did. They didn't care. I think Alec Baldwin's getting on it. I heard that some people are jumping on that train though with Neil Young. They're like,
go Alec Baldwin, go.
Alec Baldwin, he's trying to cover up from, he just killed someone on a movie set. So you know what he's doing? He's doing that's sneaky, dude, what he's doing. He's trying to jump in on this and be like, well, I have to cancel Joe Rogan too. It's like
the redeeming, yeah. I mean, and then after this, which Joe Rogan addressed, and he said, look, I interview people from both sides of the aisle. I'm not co-signing anything. I'm just giving a platform for people to share their opinion. That's it. And the guy who I had on is a very decorated doctor in terms of his achievements and his education. So now, once that didn't really take off and the Neil Young thing didn't take off, now there's this video going around, which is like a hyper cut of Joe Rogan saying the N-word on, over 12 years worth of clips, out of context.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. And I saw his apology. And I know that's what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, sick. Thank you, man. That's great. Yeah, so that is, we're all up to date. That's amazing, dude. Let's play a little bit of his apology. It is such a weird situation, though. I just feel like people are so divided, and these are all just different ways that people are polarizing around each other.
I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time, when I would bring that word up, if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. That context was part of the clip we were talking about Red Fox, how Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s, and how times have changed so much since then.
How did you feel about that?
He goes on to explain further, and he sort of explains hey, this is 12 years worth of videos. I've said a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think Joe Rogan did anything wrong. That's my stance. And anytime that anybody is being canceled, I always default to being on the side of the person who is being canceled until I have more info. And in the case of Joe, his explanation was very, very poignant. Yeah, he shouldn't have said it. He addresses that he shouldn't have said it. He's got a ton of huge comedians who he gave a platform to, of all races, sexes, you name it. People from all over. And, I think Donnell Rawlings posted a picture from the episode that him, Dave Chappelle, and Joe Rogan were on Joe Rogan's show. And he said, I don't think this episode would have been possible if Joe Rogan was a racist. Obviously, Joe Rogan isn't racist. The reason I think this is a ridiculous thing to try and cancel him for is because it's let's if we had a genie, eye in the sky, who, the eye of Sauron, who saw every behavior we did behind closed doors, if we had magically in front of us an edit of every white person that we know at every moment in their life when they've said the N-word, it'd be probably longer than the Joe Rogan edit was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's coming from a time, like, one of the things of being so old is that I remember early, like, even when I was a kid, stand-up comedy was actually pretty sexist and racist, way more than today. Like, just unacceptable. It was like normal to do it. So this is nothing. His old jokes are probably pretty like misogynistic. Like, I'm sure more and more can come out because his old stand-up, he was doing that kind of stand-up. Like in the 80s, they just did stand-up where they were like, can you believe these women and they do this and they
dude, it was worse.
up.
Like, do you remember Eddie Murphy Delirious is the most famous, like most notorious stand-up comedy special. He has a whole like 10-15 minute bit about why he's scared of F words. I'm not going to get us demonetized, but you know, a slanderous word towards gay people. He has a whole 10-minute thing in a stadium of people, and this is like still today renowned as one of the best pieces of stand-up comedy of all time. And it's sort of just like, it's sort of this unspoken thing where like people from a previous generation where this stuff wasn't cancelable sort of get a pass. They get grandfathered in. Like Eminem is a great example, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to cancel Eminem for the brazenly crazy shit that he said in 2000 because, oh, well, he's Eminem. And I've learned something, especially since becoming a creator in the public sphere myself.
Yeah.
Expectation is everything. If Chris Evans comes out and says, oh man, these N-words is crazy, it would be a no-go because we don't expect that from Chris Evans, Captain America. But if somebody like Dave Chappelle came out and said something about like, oh man, white people are crazy, we'd be like, haha, that's Dave.
Yeah.
It's about if they expect it, they accept it.
Yeah, that's his crowd, dude. You can't go against your crowd. Like, I mean, that's one of the things that really killed Gian Gomeshi's career, I feel like, where in Canada, well, we're going so Canadian today. Gian Gomeshi got canceled years ago, but he sold himself as like a super feminist, and then he was like hitting women. So there's no way to come back from that. Whereas a lot of these conservatives, their crowd is kind of, they don't care. Like Bill O'Reilly's like, oh, they had to cancel him from Fox for like sexually assaulting a bunch of women at work. He just goes home and does it from YouTube now, and he doesn't give a shit. And a lot of people, like, I guess, that does matter. That makes a big difference. And that's why I think Joe Rogan's such a class act, though, for apologizing. I think he's so sweet for apologizing.
Here's the way
these guys won't do it.
Here's the way that you get caught up. By the way, shout out to Patches for the super chat donation.
Thanks,
there. Thank you,
Patches. Love
Patches.
you.
Here's the way that you beat cancel culture, okay? Don't be fake. Don't do the thing you just described where you claim to be a hyper feminist, but behind closed doors, you beat women or whatever. The truth is always going to come to light. When I first started doing YouTube, I came out and said every bad thing I'd ever done so that somebody could clip it of me saying it in 2019. So that way in 2025, nobody can be like, oh, I found a picture of, we know. Yeah. It was already, it's 8 Mile. You know the movie 8 Mile? Yeah. At the end of the movie, Eminem is like, I am white. I am a fucking bum. I do live in a trailer with my mom. If you do that, the problem is on social media nowadays, people don't, I sound like such an old man on social media nowadays. No, but like, this is the way we do it. Play a character, be a thing. If you meet me in person, I'm the exact same way that I am on the internet because it's too hard to hide. It's too hard to fake it. We've seen so many videos come out of influencers that we thought were squeaky clean who oh, damn, they did this thing that wasn't actually that halal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you like, when I first came out, I said, hey, when I was in grade 10 or 11, I don't remember. When I was a teenager, I did blackface as part of a Halloween costume where I was 2 Chainz. It wasn't racially motivated. I just was a big fan of 2 Chainz and I wanted the costume to be authentic. And now I realize that was wrong. Am I going to are y'all going to cancel me for that? Okay, go ahead. Because if you are one of the people trying to cancel me, you weren't my supporter to begin with.
How old were you?
15, 16.
That's cute though, man. Remember that kid who dressed up as MLK? There's one baby who dressed up as MLK and he did everything, and he's like, but I just love him so much. Like it's cute. It's like it is sometimes like you don't know, and but I do feel like people are in such a polarized fight right now where it's almost like Joe Rogan is like, they're mad because of, I think he just brings on too many conservatives and COVID shit. So now it's like anything to get him. Like people are just so mad about it.
That's the thing is Joe Rogan isn't part of they. He can't be controlled. He's his own thing. He's got full control of it. And guess what? If Spotify drops Joe Rogan today, Joe Rogan is still going to be Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan not going to stop. And if anything, that's only going to like notarize him even more. Like his audience is going to be even more galvanized. And they're going to be like, see, they're trying to stomp out our boy. That's why it's the Streisand effect. You try and go, hey, everyone, look over there. And they're going to do the opposite.
Of course, man. And that is so much in the culture right now where people are like mad at you for having a different opinion. And there's just like an automatic, you know, like anger towards you for like, even for some people, if you say like, I like Joe Rogan. And I was just saying to some girl, like, yeah, I love Joe. Like, Joe Rogan's great. I love him. And she's like, you listen to him? Why do you have to listen to a hateful person?
I recently lost a bunch of followers because I posted a photo with Chris D'Elia when I was down in LA last month. And he did a sold out show. There was hundreds of people there. It was the third sold out show of a string of shows he was doing. So I wasn't the only person there, but obviously.
Yeah.
And I posted this picture because I claim that I'm a fan of Chris D'Elia. I've seen him do stand-up 3 times. I like his podcast. And I lost a bunch of followers and I had people commenting, but isn't this guy XYZ? And it's like, I strategically did this so that I would lose followers because I wanted, because I wanted, like, I don't want someone following me who I know is susceptible to just reading the headline and then canceling someone. Because when it happens to me, you're going to turn on me. So I don't want you following me anyways.
Dude, we're all in this cancel game. We're all playing checkers. Marco's playing chess. In the
I did a few things. I did a few things recently to try and do this. Like I went to try and like align my brand with the most like easily dislikable things just for the sake of bandwagoning. Joe Rogan, I defended. Chris D'Elia, I claimed that I was a fan of. I posted this video of me rapping to a Russ song the other day. And of course, there was some people being like, ugh, Russ. It's like, you're just saying that just to say, because you think it's the cool thing to hate Russ. You don't like, Russ makes bangers. I'll defend Russ. Like, you know,
I got to hear Russ, man. I want to hear it now. I don't know it yet, but that sounds exciting. That's good though. I'm glad you're giving me music. That's great. I love your music too, by the way. It's so good.